Grace in the green. She will be outside with Grace. You guys want to get your pictures taken with Grace in the green out in the hallway there. But you can stay here until the talk is done if you like. So look at this green turtle, 500 pounds. If you guys are on Facebook, try to follow the In-Water Research Group that's on Facebook. They post some of the most amazing, unique pictures and information about sea turtles. So they try, every year they go out, they capture and release sea turtles, and they put a tag in them, and they try to catch them every year. And if they catch them again, they document it. So we've never had anything but loggerheads nest on Ocean Isle Beach until last year. We thought we only had loggerheads, but DNA proved that we had a green turtle nest last year, which was really exciting. Now, most sea turtles have brown eyes, but look at the green eyes on this turtle. The Kemp's Ridley is the most critically endangered sea turtle. And we count their scutes to know what they are. But to me, this is the most easily identifiable sea turtle because its color is different. The shape of its shell is a little bit different. And their eyes are more almond shaped, or they look a little bit sleepy to me. The other ones have bigger eye sockets. So Holden Beach actually had one come up and nest during the day, and they sent me the video. And this is her going back to the water. Watch, she's going to stop, look up, get a nice deep breath of air, get her eyes on the ocean. She's going to slide down this escarpment and make her way back to the ocean. So when Pat said that to me, I called him and I said, love the video, going to use it in my turtle talks. If you get a picture of her babies, will you send them to me? And he said, yes, I will. And yes, he did. So this is really exciting to us when we see the mother and then we see the babies. We really love doing that. So I had a visitor send me this video of a Kemp's Ridley swimming off the Ocean Isle Beach pier. And you can see from top down how round a dinner plate her shell is. So Kemp's Ridleys and olive Ridleys, mostly olive Ridleys, will nest in an arrabata, which is Spanish for arrival. And tens of thousands of them will come up onto the beach to lay eggs at the same time. This is a little bit of a predator deterrent, so the more of them that are on the beach, the less likely one of them is going to get caught by a predator. So how long do you guys think sea turtles can hold their breath? Anybody have a guess? 3? 3 hours, 3 minutes, 3 days? What?
4 hours.
4 hours. Great guess, 4 to 7 hours. So they can reduce their heartbeat down to 1 heartbeat a minute. And they can even do better than that during a hurricane or a storm. So they just go back to the bottom of the ocean. And for the first time, I was able to hear that myself. We took a sea turtle to Sea Turtle Hospital. I thought it died in transport. They said, wait a minute. They put the Doppler on. She was moving around for 10 minutes, waiting to hear her heartbeat. And all of a sudden, we heard, shoosh. And she said, this baby's not dead yet. She didn't end up making it, but to me, that was amazing to be able to hear that heartbeat after 10 minutes of listening. So how do they hold their breath? They have these muscles in their nose that they expand it so that they can dive. And they do just like us. When I'm in the swimming pool and I go down to the bottom of the swimming pool, I'm coming up, I start blowing bubbles before I hit the surface. They do the same thing. They blow their bubbles out, they get to the surface, and then they take in some more air. So for the first time this year, I was asked a question that I'd never been asked for. So I decided it was time to fact check Olaf. Do sea turtles breathe out of their butt? Not really. There is a turtle, and it's an aquatic turtle, that when it hibernates, it goes underwater and the top of the pond is frozen. So they have a special area near their butt where there's this bladder that has gills in it, similar to a fish. So they can do that for 100 days while they're hibernating. Sea turtles can do it a tiny bit, not enough to survive. Sea turtles use it more for buoyancy. So they have the same bladder that's back there near their butt, that they take in air so that they can get themselves buoyant in the ocean. So this is our home, and it's theirs. So we want to make sure that we're doing everything we can to make their environment safe for them and ours safe for us. These are the challenges for sea turtles. Global warming, predators, lights, ocean plastic, poaching, and offshore drilling. So unfortunately, a couple of weeks ago, we had a visitor that their house lights were on, no curtains. We asked them would they dim their lights to get the babies to the ocean, and his response was, I'm not blowing up my vacation for sea turtles. We have to respect that. There's nothing I can do about that. Unfortunately, that night, 57 babies came out of that nest. All 57 babies went towards his house lights, and all 57 babies died. So it's very sad for us. So that's why Lights Out Sea Turtles Dig the Dark is such an important message. Now, global warming oceans is a problem because the little things that die, the little barnacles and things that are in the ocean, when they die, the things that eat them die because there's no food. So global warming is a challenge. Fox on Ocean Isle Beach are a big challenge. That's who ate these 57 babies that came out, and all they had to do is sit in the dunes and wait for them to come to them. They dig into our nest. They used to be able to get right into our nest. We have a new setup that stops them from getting into our nest. Poaching is a problem. A couple of weeks ago, we had a group of high schoolers here, and their parents came down and they rented 5 houses, and then they left the high schoolers here, and they were not behaving, and they destroyed 4 of our nests. We ended up having the police on the beach at night and volunteers on the beach at night to keep an eye on those nests. And you know, our volunteers put in $30,000, 30,000 hours a summer. We really don't want to have to be sitting on the beach watching for somebody to stomp on the nest. So our ecosystems have changed. When those babies first came here, all they were looking for the moon, the stars, or the effervescence, the breaking waves, and they see street lights, they see house lights. So you could see that house light, if they would just close those curtains, the light wouldn't be shining out from the house. When those babies come out of that nest, this is their line of sight. I can't see my hands like this. They can see lights where my hands are. So we know they're confused when they come out of that nest, and they don't know which way to go. House, street, flashlights will all misorient them. Your phone, your cell phone at a nest. If you guys find a teen that's at a nest, ask them how to turn your cell phone screen red. This is my husband. He was sitting right next to me in a nest, so I took his picture to show you guys how bright the flashlight is, the cell phone is. But this is my volunteers, 2 of my friends sitting on the opposite side of the nest from me, so they're at least 10 feet away from me. You see how bright that is. So the turtles will go towards a person with their cell phone on rather than going towards the ocean. And why do we want them to go the right way? Because we don't want them to get in the sand dunes and get eaten by birds or crabs or fox. They will crawl into the streets and get hit by cars. And so we know you guys don't want that, and neither do we. So if you could remember and pass the word about lights out, sea turtles, sticky bark, that's a good thing. Plastic in our oceans are a problem because sea turtles eat jellyfish. And jellyfish look like the plastic. So when I asked you guys where your phone, I wanted you to think about why plastic from your community can end up in the oceans. It can end up in any creek or river and end up in our oceans and then on our beach. And when it's floating in the ocean, it looks like this. This jellyfish, or this one, looks like a different type of jellyfish. And when a sea turtle sees it, they don't know. They can't tell the difference because their eyesight is not good, so they eat it. And when they eat the plastic, sometimes that plastic stays in their stomach, and they can't move it out of their stomach. So just like you or me, when we've had a nice big piece of pizza or a great meal, we don't eat for a while until it goes through our bodies. If that plastic stays in that turtle, they die of starvation because they don't know that they're hungry. Sometimes they're able to pass it, but there's poisons in that plastic bag, and they die anyway. Sometimes they can pass it, and they do just fine. Oil spills. When sea turtles are in an oil spill, even a tiny bit of oil on the top of the ocean surface, they can inhale it into their lungs or their nose or their mouth or into their eyes. So our nest verification is the next team that goes out. So if we get a call that there's a crawl on the beach, these guys are going to come out. So they're going to start digging through that sand. This is what they're doing, pull all the sand away from out of that body pit. They're looking for a soft area. So they're moving their hands and looking for a soft area. And if they find a soft area, they're going to go down to see if they find eggs. And in this one, they did find the eggs. So this is a natural nest. We were able to leave it in place. But there's the egg at the top of that egg chamber. And so there's it. She's going to take the egg out. Looks just like a ping pong ball, larger than a ping pong ball. She's going to lift it straight up, straight over, and straight down if we're going to relocate that nest. But this is the first egg out of the nest, so we were going to take the DNA from this egg. So we dropped the contents out of that egg. You can see there's no baby sea turtle in there. But the mother turtle's DNA is in this eggshell. So we're going to be able to identify how many times she's nested and where she is nested. So this is the vial that it goes in. Looks just like this one. This one actually has an eggshell in it. These are 2 vials from this year. 2023, OCN, and nests 13 and 14. So the average nest has about 125 eggs. We've had mother turtles dig nests that had 211 eggs in it. Her egg chamber was the right size. We have a nest this year, only 44 eggs. Her egg chamber was the right size. Mm-hmm. How do they know to do that? Who knows? I would not have guessed I was going to have an 8-pound boy, but I had an ultrasound that could tell me. How do they know that? So the mother turtle's going to dig a nest with her back flippers. So she's going to take 1 flipper at a time and start to dig out and dump that sand to the left and to the right. She's going to do that until her egg chamber is the right size. You see all the barnacles on that turtle? This turtle wasn't sick, but they even get barnacles on them just from swimming in the ocean. It's amazing, isn't it? So does anybody in here have any multiple verse twins? Anybody know twins? Twins? Sea turtles can have twins. See those oblong, oval-shaped eggs? That could be some more back there. You could have a twins come out of this nest. And what we do is after we close out this nest, we're going to look to those eggs. If they're empty, we know twins came out. If they're in there, we know that no twins came out. So what if you're on the beach tonight or anytime this week and you see a mother sea turtle? We want you to enjoy it. We want you to stand and watch what she does because it really is a unique experience. But we want you to stand behind her at all times. We don't want her to see you or hear you because she's going to be frightened and she's going to leave the beach. No flash photography, no bright lights, nothing. And if other people come up, you go stand behind them. Ask them to stand with you behind you. You're going to see her, she can start throwing sand with her front flippers. That's another reason why you want to be behind her, but far enough behind her that you don't get a face full of sand. You can call 911 or you can call one of these phone numbers and we will send out our team to where that turtle is. So the nest relocations, how and why. So why? Sea turtle eggs are porous. So if the eggs are underwater, the water goes into that egg and it drowns the hatchling or the embryo. We have king tide, so we have to move our nest above even the king tide. You guys are here for a king tide week, so the tides are going to be higher than average and higher than normal. We've had nests, you can see this nest right here. Every day up to this nest, it was on dry sand by at least 30 feet. But the king tide night brought in and it ended up killing all the babies in this nest because they drowned because they weren't ready to come out. Temperature plays a role in incubation of baby sea turtles. So you guys, when you get on the beach and you start to walk on the beach, you know how it's really hot if you don't have shoes on when you first get there and it's cooler as you go? So the temperatures of nests in the dunes incubate at a higher rate than the ones in the middle of the stretch. So we're going to count every egg that comes out of that egg chamber if we're going to move it. We're going to put it in a container, and then we're going to measure the nest, the top, north, south, east, and west, the depth, and then the bottom, so we can replicate the size and shape of this particular egg chamber. So the temperature in the nest also determines if they're boys or girls. So the hotter the egg chamber, the more girls, the cooler, more boys. And the great thing about this year is our nests have been incubating for a really long time. That means that the nest chambers have been cool. So in about a third of the way through is when the sex is determined, if it's a boy or a girl. So these nests going to day 75 are likely to be more males, and we really need that. Egg chambers across the world are incubating at higher rates, so there's too many females and not enough males. We protect our nest with a cage and a wire on it. We now have a 6-foot mesh over it, a buried wire, and then our dome on it. And why do we do that? It's because this little stinker right here. It is a natural prey for sea turtles to eat the fox. We ask you not to feed the fox. The fox are not afraid of people at Ocean Isle Beach because people have been feeding them for far too long. And that is not healthy for them. I don't believe God put them on this planet to eat spicy hot dogs or cheeseburgers. And people are doing that. So please don't feed them. So how does a fox know how to find my nest setup? Well, they can see my nest setup. They're smart. I know how to get to McDonald's because I see the golden arches, right? They see my nest set up. They think that's a meal. They can smell. Just like a dog, you'll see them going down the beach. They've got their nose on the sand. Once they catch the scent of a mother turtle or a baby sea turtle, they follow it back up to the nest and go see what they can find. But they can hear. So this is a really exciting video, a study they did. So everybody be really quiet so you can hear the sound of a baby sea turtle.
Wow, that is amazing. Yeah, I hear that again. I didn't think it was something like that. Yeah. Because we put a camera in the nest, we are able to see that there are just eggs in the nest and no hatchlings.
So baby sea turtles have a thing on their nose when they're first coming out of the nest. It's called a carnucle, but it's an egg tooth. So it's a little pointy thing on their nose. And they use that to scratch their way and break out of that eggshell. So the scientists did that, and they could say, watch the video when the babies came out of those eggs, and they were still making that chirping noise. When they were out of the nest in the container next to the nest, they were even saying it. So they're trying to find out, when these babies are making this noise, are they talking to each other? Are they saying, hey, let's go, let's make a dash for it? Well, in 66% of the nest, those chirping sounds started, and it would be a couple of them, and then it would be a bunch of them, and then it would be a boil. But in 33% of the nest, it would be the same thing. Be a few chirps and a bunch of chirps, but then they would trickle out. So they weren't able to prove that sea turtles were actually communicating, which would have been kind of cool if they did. So DNA. So like I said, the sea turtle egg, as it's going through the mother, a little bit of the mother turtle's DNA is in this eggshell. So we send out the first nest out of every season, and we send it to the University of Georgia. So North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, and Northern Florida participated. The very first year that Northern Florida participated, a mother turtle was identified as laying a test in Jacksonville, Florida. South Carolina, and the Outer Banks of North Carolina, all 2 weeks apart. So that really blows it out of the water for the scientists to say that if a baby turtle was born on Ocean Isle Beach, she'd come back. It's certainly a personality thing. So we learned a lot of things. How often they nest, where they nest, do they return to the beach where they were born? We know that's not true, I just told you. The health of the turtles, and I'm going to identify sea turtle relationships, which is the mother, daughter, and down the line like that. So we had a sea turtle that laid a nest on Ocean Isle Beach in 2016, and every single egg was connected to the next one. It looked like a bunch of grapes. So none of those babies emerged. There was not one fertile egg in that nest. So we were able to look at what she'd done before that. Every other nest she laid that season was healthy and successful, and every other season she laid eggs was healthy and successful. So turtles lay between 1 and 11 nests in a season. The averages for it used to be 3. So we identified this mother that nested only at Ocean Isle Beach in 2020. We identified this mother has been nesting since 2011. 34 nests, 2 states on 9 different beaches. This girl right here, she's been in 3 states, 17 nests, and 8 beaches. We have turtles that we identify as first-time mothers. Now that's, just because we identify them as a first-time mother does not mean that they haven't nested somewhere else. It's just the first time they're on our radar. So this is the coolest part of that study. They're sisters. It's 5 sisters. We know they have the same mom and the same dad, all nesting in the season. Their mother nesting in the season, and their grandmother nesting in the same season. And this is the cool part. Those girls are at least 25. Mom is 50, and grandma is at least 75 years old and still having babies. She could be 90 years old and still having babies. Another reason I'm thankful I'm not a sea turtle. I love them, but I don't want to be having babies at 90. So the genetics. So we know there is a genetic abnormalities that come out of sea turtles. This one is a green turtle, but this one is not an albino. It's a leucistic. An leucistic turtle will have have all the color gone, or just maybe one flipper, half their body. But they will always have their natural eye color, as that turtle did. And this is actually a leucistic turtle that came out of Ocean Isle Beach, and this is one of its siblings that did not survive it. So you guys can come and see this after Turtle Talk. So our nest parents are on the beach. We've got about 6 teams on the beach right now in various stages of waiting for babies to come out. What are they waiting for? So they're watching that nest. So the top of this egg chamber right here is flat. Looks just like the sand everywhere. So when these babies start coming out of this eggshells, the ones at the top are wiggling to the top. The ones at the bottom are stomping the sand down and then pushing up. So they're pushing each other up to go out. So the change in the egg chamber looks like this. It's a classic coffee can drop, or a little drop. You can see that other picture. Sometimes we look down and we see a flipper. Now, I was at this nest. I kid you not when I say we saw that baby flipper come out, and he took a nap for 2 hours. And we can't help them get out. So if he'd have been there when we left, we'd have had to leave him there. But he did come out. Sometimes we get there and we see the sand start to move, and we watch to see if the baby comes out. Now watch what this baby does to get the sand out of his eyes. See, he's wiped the sand out of his eyes with this flipper. Now this turtle came out on his own. So we want that to be natural. The sun hadn't gone down yet, so we want this baby to get to the ocean as fast as he can because he needs to start swimming to where he needs to go. Now our volunteer Ashlyn was with me in a nest, and this sea turtle took a little bit of a different path to get to the beach. This turtle did this from the top of the nest all the way to the water. She just walked out doing curly cues all the way down. I'm thinking she's getting dizzy. I would have been. So another time when I was at a nest, I was able to get a video of a boil. Again, it was 7 o'clock at night. The sun was still out. It hadn't gone down, so I was able to get this video. So just watch how these babies make their way out. You see that one there sleeping? That one's about to wake everybody up. See the sand start to move? It looks like a pot of boiling water. That's why it's called a boil. Tick on his siblings' noses. Everybody's waking up. See this one over here? I mean, her Wonder Woman. She's going to be the next out of the nest. This is about 136 babies coming out at one time. So it's light out, right? They can't see the moon. They can't see the stars. They can't see the waves. How are they going to find their way home? See this little guy right here? I mean, Donatello. He keeps trying to get out, but everybody keeps pushing him back in. There he comes. You guys see that black edging in the back? So we put that at every nest on day 45. Because if we're not there, we want to get the babies at least going in the right direction. But we had that at nest number 3, but that house light was so bright, everybody went down the trance to our edging and made a U-turn and went right back to the house. So we do our best. So you wonder, why don't we take the babies and just put them right into the ocean? So we don't do that because scientists have done a study about it. And when they put the babies all in the ocean, they swam in circles. So they know what they need to do is they need these visual cues. They need to come out of that nest. They need to get their eyes on their ocean home. They need to crawl down that beach to get to the water. They need to make it through those first waves, and they need to get to the other side of those waves to set their brains to the Earth's magnetic pull. That's what they use the rest of their lives to navigate. They need to go to warmer waters. They need to go to feeding grounds. They need to go to breeding grounds. And they actually swim. There's a turtle that was released in the United States, been all the way to Africa and back. And they do swim in circles. This is a baby that is swimming in circles. And when they were doing the study, all the babies did this when they put them in the water. So we don't want them to get in the water and just sit there and do this, because they need to get going. It'd be okay if there weren't predators in the water, right? So they're swimming these circles and the predators were getting them. So we don't want them to do that. We want them to swim. They're going to swim for 24 to 48 to 72 hours, depends on the turtle. And they're going out to the Sargasso Sea. That's a bed of seagrass off the coast of the United States. And it moves. Sometimes it's further out, but this time of the year it's much closer in, so the babies don't have to go very far. So what do the babies do? They get in there, and it's camouflage for them. They can hide in there. They eat little berries that are on this grass. They also eat jellyfish and little shrimp and that type of stuff that's in there. Scientists aren't sure what they do for the juvenile years, because the juvenile years are kind of a mystery, because we can't track turtles this small. So at 3 to 5 days after babies have come out of a nest, we're going to do an inventory to check on the success of that nest. Sometimes we get eggs that will not glow. This was a possibly fertile egg. This is what an infertile egg looks like. So we put them all on a white flashlight to see if they glow. If they glow, we're going to put them back in the nest at the bottom of the nest, but we're going to put the ones that aren't glowing towards the top of the nest so they can emerge. If we find babies, we're going to release them down the trench. And then we're going to count the unhatched eggs. This actually is a nest from a leatherback that nested in the Carolinas a couple years ago. Not one of her nests had a hatchling that come out of it, but she's nested since then, and she's had successful nests. So our rescue team, to me, has the biggest heart because they've got to respond to the sickest turtles that come up and see this. Maybe they're dead because they got caught in a fishing line. Turtles breathe air just like we do, and they get stuck in that net and they can't come up to breathe. They get hooked on the pier by a fisherman. I took a sea turtle to the hospital a couple of weeks ago. It was a small Ken Fruity, maybe 15 pounds, but it had a 3-inch hook caught in the back of its throat. So the Karen Beasley Sea Turtle Hospital, we took it up there and they're fantastic. They were able to get that hook out really easily. So we're going to check every turtle that comes up for a tag, just like a dog or a cat that you get, so we know how to find their way home. We want to know if this turtle was caught somewhere else and released, and then we'll report back to that research study that we found in one of their turtles. This is a Ken Fruity that we took to the Sea Turtle Hospital. You can see this turtle's right there at her neck. It's kind of dark and sunken in. She's not really as fat as she needs to be, so she's not been eating right. So they kept her at the Sea Turtle Hospital for a few weeks. And when they're not feeling good, they float in that top 10 feet of water. So that's where all these little these little things will grow on their wing, from barnacles to corals that are floating in there. And this is what it looks like when it gets on them. This is Moana. She was a green sea turtle that got sick and was on Ocean Isle Beach. My team called and said, we found a dead sea turtle. I said, please put your glove on, and I want you to tap right next to that sea turtle's eye, just like this. And if the turtle blinks, it's alive. We're going to take it to the Sea Turtle Hospital. So we did that. And this is Moana just 2 weeks later. Believe it or not, all they did was let her sit in fresh water for 2 weeks, and all the things that were growing on her fell off. And those are the barnacles. So can barnacles move? I would have bet you money they don't move, but I found out they do move. This is a scritch mark of a barnacle, and you can see it moved on this turtle from back towards its neck on the top of its head. That's because when it comes out and fans for food, it needs to be in a place where there's a good water flow so it can get more food. And they have things that grow on them very big. We've seen them when they couldn't even see when they're like this. And how do they get it off if they're not sick or injured? Well, they go to the car wash. Now, we also know that these sea turtles, when they get this on and they can't get to a car wash where the fish will eat it off them, they've been seen going up against rocks and corals and just scratching their back to get it off, which is really cool. So how can you guys help sea turtles? Reduce your plastic use. That's an easy one. Don't use white flashlights on the beach. Participate in a coastal cleanup. And that is just every time you go to the beach, pick up trash that's not yours and put it in the trash can. Turn off your exterior lights and close your curtains. And you can volunteer with the Ocean Isle Beach Sea Turtle Protection Organization. I introduced you to Ashlyn. We've got Catherine is here this week too. Middle, high school, and college students can be interns with us. Common plastic use, reduce your plastic use. We have a silicone straw you can buy. This is so great. It fits in your pocket and the straw comes out. Oh, this one doesn't open. Comes out, it's just silicone. You fold it and put it in there. I take mine with me to a restaurant. I drink my soda. I drink a glass of water, clean the straw, put it right back in the tin. Release balloons instead of butterflies or birds, because those balloons up in the oceans, and they really end up everywhere. White flashlights, you can buy them, but please go to Lowe's or Home Depot and get a red one if you're going to walk on the beach. These are the lights that we want homeowners to use. We actually have a program where we will buy and donate the fixtures and the light bulbs to homeowners. We'll do it, and we're lucky that we're getting a lot of participation in it. Please don't dig holes on the beach, whether they're deep or not. Sea turtles fall on these, and people can fall on these. And the baby sea turtles get caught in them. And this is just like a cereal bowl. Any animal is going to come and just eat those babies right out if they get caught in a hole, and we don't want that to happen. Like I said, you can volunteer. We have adults that plan their vacation. They come and they volunteer with us every summer for a week or two. And like I said, young people can do it too. So fundraising, how do we raise money to protect sea turtles at Ocean Isle Beach? Well, this is a fairly new program we have. These are glass floats and globes that are made by a local artist. You'll be taking a little bit of Ocean Isle Beach home with you because a little bit of sand from Ocean Isle Beach is blown into each one of these ornaments or the float. And even if you get the same color as I do, yours is going to be different because the pattern is going to be very different. And that's Lucy's Treasure Hunt. Lucy's Treasure Hunt is in October. And what we do is we hide clear plastic floats all over the island. And if you find one, you can take that clear plastic float and trade it into the Museum of Coastal Carolina for a free float. We have Adopt a Hatchling. We have these hatchlings as our Adopt a Hatchlings. This one's $15. This one's $20. You get to name the turtle and you get an adoption certificate to go with it. We have these bracelets This one is the Four Oceans, so it takes trash out of our oceans and coastlines. This is our phthalo bracelet. It's a tracking bracelet. You're going to be assigned a sea turtle that you get to track. I love my sea turtle's name. Her name is Barbara Streisand, and she's been booking it. So unfortunately, the tracking devices do fall off because their shells grow like our fingernails. But don't worry about that because you just call Phil and they will assign you a new sea turtle. And you get, or you could go to seaturtle.org, Sea Turtle Conservancy, and choose your own sea turtle to track. Every year we have a different style t-shirt. This year it's SOS Save Our Sea Turtles. So who can save sea turtles? Well, it's not the wildlife, they can't do it. But who can save sea turtles? You can save sea turtles. You guys can save sea turtles. And how do we do that? We have to teach our children about it too. I'm not here to tell you guys any one of these things is the cause of the demise of sea turtles or their challenge, but common sense tells me it's all of these things. It's the warming oceans, it's the plastic, it's the offshore drilling, it's poaching, it's everything. And as adults, I think it's our responsibility to teach our kids on how to save all wildlife, not just sea turtles. And every year we ask the Wildlife Commission, what can we do to better? And every time we bring up the suggestion, dress them up like Ninja Turtles, we're told no. But we're not going to stop asking. So now that's the end of my talk. Do you guys have questions? Yes, sir.
Are the eggs fertilized before they're laid?
Yes, they are fertilized. So the mating season is limited. Like by the middle of June, the males are gone. So all the females are still nesting after that, all the way through October on some islands. So she has all the ingredients she needs that she stores in her body, then she releases eggs, they get fertilized and come out. Yes, ma'am. How do the sea turtles fit in the tiny eggs? Well, they're inside the egg and they're fertilized and they start to grow. You can't even see them when they start to grow. And when they get a little bit bigger, they don't even have color, they're pink. They get bigger and bigger and they start to look like a sea turtle and then they're all color. So they just grow inside that egg shell. More questions? Yes, ma'am.
Did volunteers ever help the sea turtles as they're getting to the ocean?
So we don't want to interfere if we don't have to. We want to do our best not to do that. We have had to do that because of artificial lights or a sea turtle that has a bad flipper. So you can imagine they're crawling to go to the ocean. If this flipper's stronger than this one, they're going to be going in circles, right? So in a rare instance, we do have permission to get them there, but we really want it to be as natural as possible. You know, they've been in that nest for so long, for 60 days, 75 days. They need to come out of the nest and stretch those flippers and get to the ocean so they can be really strong swimmers. Yes, sir.
I didn't get it right away, but did you talk about the range, how far they go?
We know they swim from the United States to the African coast and back. So there's this all the way across and back and everywhere. And it's not like a straight line. They're like swimming over here and then over there and they go over there and they go there. We know when they come from the surface that they got the device on that pings, and so we can identify where they are. They actually have, and I'm trying to get which ones aren't. They've had turtles that they've tagged that they've released that have come back the next year and laid eggs. So that's a really cool thing. They actually had a turtle that was sick at Ocean Isle Beach, named the turtle Obi, took him up to the Sea Turtle Hospital. He was there for 3 months. They released Obi back into the ocean, put a tracking device on him. Well, they got it wrong. Obi came back and laid eggs. So you can usually tell a turtle is a male or female based on the tail size, but it's not always accurate. There are females that have larger than normal tails and males that have smaller tails. Yes, sir.
So what's the average distance from high tide when you come in from?
It will vary. It will really vary, and the mothers sometimes crawl a long way to get up to the dunes, and sometimes it's a long way for those babies to get to it, but they actually put sea turtles in a study and they put them on a little bitty treadmill, and they really went a really long way. So they're telling us that we don't need to help them unless they're really badly disoriented or misoriented to get to the water.
So are we just talking like a half a mile, or are we talking like a couple of 100 feet?
We've had them go 100 feet, crawl 100 feet, and we've had them come out of a nest and crawl from the far eastern of Ocean Isle Beach all the way to the pier because they think that's the stars or the moons, and that's what they're trying to get to. Adults and babies. Yes?
How do you get in the water?
How do they get in the water? They crawl all the way down to the water with their flippers and get in the water. And then the mommies crawl out. And sea turtles don't need their mommy like I need my mommy. Those babies are hardwired from the time they come out of that nest. They don't need their mommies ever again. Kind of sad, but it's a sea turtle. Any more questions? Yes. How do they know what to eat? It's instinctually they know what to eat. That they want to eat jellyfish or crabs or lobsters, and they go and they eat them. Or like the green turtle, they eat the seagrass. Did you have a question, ma'am? No. Okay. Yes, sir.
How long can they go without eating?
How long? I don't know the answer to that question. That's a good question. I think they have good. They eat often because they expend a lot of energy when they're swimming in the ocean. So I have a lot of samples up here if you guys want to come and see my skull. This is actually the size that they are when they come out of the nest compared to the mother turtle that comes out and lays her eggs. I have a rib bone from a loggerhead, not even a really big one. And then I have other specimens of sea turtles that died in the nest. Yes, ma'am?
What was the name of the group you mentioned at the beginning to follow on Facebook?
In-water research.
In-water research.
In-water research. They post some of the amazingly cool stuff. Yes?
How long can the turtles stay underwater?
They can stay underwater for 4 to 7 hours. That's pretty good. Yes?
Do they drink any water?
They do not drink water. They get their moisture out of the things they eat, like the jellyfish and the seagrass. Any other questions? Yes, sir?
Before there was conservation, whatever, was there ever people that ate turtle eggs, like, you know?
Oh yeah, yeah. They did that. That's why they had to be protected by the Endangered Species Act. The eggs and the sea turtles will be taken for food. So the first time that they saw an arrow about it was, I want to say, 1945, and it was tens of thousands of turtles coming up on a Mexican beach to lay the eggs. And scientists were so excited about that. They were sharing the information. It was on the news. Well, unfortunately, that was bad because they announced where they were. So people came from all over. They went to that beach because it was not against the law to take the eggs of the turtles, and they reduced that population to 1,000 turtles nesting in years that followed. So now, in Mexico too, that beach is very protected. There are federales on that beach with machine guns protecting turtles. Yes, ma'am?
Is it bad to
Is it bad for them
turtles drink water?
to drink water? They don't drink water, they just eat the food that has moisture in it. So I've never heard of them drinking water like a little land turtle that you guys might have. Like a red-eared slider, a green-eared slider, they might do that. Yes? Why are they attracted to light? Because their brain tells them that's the star or the moon or the effervescence of the breaking waves, and that means home to them. Just like you guys, none of us really listen to directions to get home anymore. We do it with visual cues now. Sea turtles do that, and they know they want to get to that moon and to that water. So thank you for coming. If you have questions, you want to see my specimens, please come up and see me. I'll be happy to answer questions and show you what I have.